I want to discuss the psychology of parents that do not have friends. Okay? As in, like, they usually, where they usually comes from, what I've seen is that they are detached from bonds outside of family spaces. They became very distrusting of people in general, and yeah, it's quite sad because I do feel like, okay, of course there is a season where you maybe outgrow friends, where people go off in college, like when you in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, things change, people change, and all these things. But I do find it usually very toxic when a parent does not really have friends to the point that they see, if they have children, their children as their only company. And it forms a very unhealthy boundary then for the kids to always feel like they have to regulate the emotions of the parents. It feels like very fulfilling. I do experience that, like at the beginning it feels like very fulfilling. Like the first years, you get actually your mom all to yourself. I mean, I think this also feels very rewarding for people who grew up in a very big family with like six, seven siblings. And, time does not always get divided to every single child. But then, okay, the parent grows. I did not close my my window so you could hear the outside noise. I probably cut it out. But yeah, where was my train of thought? Yeah, for in the first year, it's like very nice that you have your mom or your dad all to yourself because they have no other company. And it feels very fulfilling, very rewarding. You get to shop, you get to, have all these, yeah, sort of sometimes years back of like, oh dang, like we didn't get to do this and now we get to do this and this and this and that. But to a certain point, it gets, I feel like, very sad. And also, like, I feel sad, mostly sad and frustrated at the same time, of then seeing that the form, the outlook of life and potentially meeting like new friends and people in life, it does not happen. I wonder what goes on in their brain. Most kids would love to always be for their parents. That's like in our biology, and that's what we also want. Some people do have big beefs with their parents, by the way. Y'all do not want anything of your parents. Dang. So I do find it very I can pinpoint maybe also where that is also a root for more destruction, like hyper reliance of your daughter succeeding. Also like this feeling that of a monitoring spirit, um, always feeling like, yeah, like your parents are always with you even though you're not in their proximity. That comes from if they don't have their own social life and own social, yeah, thing for them going on, because people only point this usually out with like just relationships where the one that has like no friends, no life, gets like very intertwined in that other person identity. But that also happens with parent child dynamics, where where the parent doesn't have like, or feel like they have something going on, so they take as much energy or as much time and space of their children where they do feel some trust from. And it also is like very consuming then for the child, and the child becomes a person that is like, which is also not healed, by the way. You're not a healed version from yourself if you're always scanning people's emotions, overly scanning people's emotions. Or maybe you're just neurodivergent, by the way, that can also be the case. But usually these people develop traits that are yeah, that are like also coping mechanisms again from that dynamic, feeling exhausted of always feeling the need of the parent. And it's not like the parent is at an old age where, you know, you actually take care of them, have to prepare food. And we're talking about like a parent that's just in the working age, but just is not having like some sort of hobby, identity, friends. Yeah. And you you want to be there for the parent, you want to help, but it gets really tricky when they don't want to help themselves, you know. That's the frustrating part where it for me comes in, like that's frustrating. Like do people talk and experience this? And they're grown, you're grown, everyone is grown. So it's not like you can say like go to go to school or like go to the playground or like, yeah, the grown up version is to say like, yeah, go to like some holiday vacation, book a group ticket with some people, go have fun, meet new people. There are a lot of options, by the way, but if someone does not want to do that, yeah, what can you do, you know? Because if you don't set a boundary for yourself and just let the person just take from your energy, you yourself come depleted. You think you're doing a good job, you know, the first couple of times, so usually years, you're like, okay, again, we have a lot of fun, you know, um, family activities, but then it gets exhausted. You also have your own friends, you also have your own life. You don't want to be a bitch and be like, okay, you know, I'm better than you, like I have my own life. But it's quite healthy to be like, okay, do something of your own, you know, start to trust again, you know. Yeah, let me know what you think about this and leave it in the comments. Bye bye.